3 shot last night in Baltimore, including a 7-year-old child. The latest on the case as leaders across the state call for changes to juvenile crime laws.
A mother forced out of her home after finding out it was sold years ago without her knowledge. The legal fight to stop her eviction.
And rain and thunderstorms with the next weather maker on the way. We've got a weather alert date already posted. I'll let you know when. Things could get ugly around here. My Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
A triple shooting in East Baltimore last night left a 7-year-old boy hurt as violence among young people across the state spikes. Prosecutors are sounding the alarm. Thanks for joining us. I'm Vincent Hill.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. They're calling for changes to existing juvenile justice laws. They say the laws are tying their hands when it comes to holding young people accountable. Just before midnight along North Montford Avenue, police say they found 3 victims shot, a 25-year-old woman, 19-year-old man, and the third, a 7-year-old boy. Police say the child was grazed in the leg by a bullet, adding to the growing list of young people injured by gunfire in Baltimore City this year. According to police, at least 12 juveniles have been killed and more than 65 others have been shot and survived. And young people are not just victims of crime. Too often, police say they're the perpetrators, too. In Anne Arundel County this week, young people were arrested for a series of crimes involving stolen cars. Some of them just 11 and 12 years old, too young to be charged.
It makes it more challenging. The 11 and the 12-year-old, had it been a carjacking or an attempted carjacking, that meets the criteria for those offenders to be charged. But since it was a crime against property, which motor vehicle theft is a crime against property and not a crime of violence, it does not meet the criteria for charging.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Act limits those under 13 to charges for crimes of violence and says a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged.
They know that
hundreds of people in attendance. Someone saw something. You mentioned that they're scared and they're holding on to their kids. Why is no one coming forward?
Well, because that's the rule of the street. The rule of the street is you don't say anything. And truthfully, the other thing that I found out when I was speaking to people in the Brooklyn homes is that they don't expect much from the police department. They've lost all hope.
Bishop Nunez says that hopelessness is the big concern. He went on to talk about the importance of police presence. You can listen to this entire interview on foxbaltimore.com. I'm Megan Gilland, Fox 45 News.
A Northeast Baltimore family on the verge of being homeless after their family home was sold years ago without them knowing about it. And despite going to court to put a halt on that pending eviction, a judge says they have to be out by Monday.
10-year-old Liam Woodward was at home when there was a knock at the door.
And I saw a whole bunch of people and one sheriff.
The sheriff wasn't there because of a reported crime.
And then they kept on banging.
They were there to serve an eviction notice on the family home, paid off free and clear since 2007 because of unpaid water bills dating back to 2018.
I was born and raised in here.
Deanna Woodward says her water bills reached over $1,700 because of water line breaks she says the city refused to repair. And when she went to the city for help with the bill.
So when I went down there to make a payment plan, she told me $150 wasn't enough. Well, I don't even make $1,000 a month. What are you talking about?
The house was sold in 2018 to a New York investor for $10,000 during a tax sale. That investor sold it to a Maryland-based investment company this past March for $49,500. Both sales without her knowledge. Now that investment company wants the Woodwards out.
I just don't understand how somebody is able to buy my house for so many different reasons, and then at the end, the result, I still have to leave.
According to Baltimore City's Department of Finance, any owner-occupied home with a final bill of more than $750 can be sold without owner consent. Former federal prosecutor Tharu Vignaraja trying to convince a judge to halt the eviction.
The district judge issued a decision that lacked compassion.
But the judge, siding with the investment company.
Some number of months ago, we were assured by the city that owner-occupied properties would not be in these tax sales.
Mayor Brandon Scott removed owner-occupied homes from future tax sales list, but it went into effect in May of this year, 5 years after Deanna's home was sold.
I have been trying to reverse the tax sale, but it is too late.
Councilwoman Odette Ramos of the 14th District says the city may have jumped the gun on the sale.
She should have had a chance to redeem the property and pay that back. And I don't have any evidence that she got the proper notice.
Ramos calling for change at the city and state level.
Completely reforming the system so that this doesn't happen again at all is what we need to do. And so we'll continue to work hard on that.
Meanwhile, the clock is ticking for Deanna and her son to be out of the only home they've ever known.
If we do get evicted on Monday, we really don't have nowhere to go. So I guess we're going to go to a shelter.
And this is not the first time something like this has happened. Back in June, another homeowner found out her home had been sold because of a $3,500 tax lien.
I had this house for over 35 years. And to think that I was going to lose my home because the city didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's very stressful and very painful.
The Department of Finance admitted the lien was a mistake on their part.
You're taking a live look around our region at the Inner Harbor, Towson, and the Ocean City Boardwalk. We're feeling the heat and humidity this weekend, but it's looking like we could be seeing some storms as we head into the new week. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers joining us this Saturday with the latest.
Yeah, in for Jasmine, who's out of town, and, well, she's avoiding some of the bad weather. But unfortunately, we won't, I think, by Monday. And we, in fact, have a weather alert day posted for the first of the new week on Monday. Monday afternoon, Monday evening could get kind of rough around here. Toyota Eastern Harbor Skycam just outside Camden Yards as we took on the Mets this evening. 79 degrees at BWI with the clouds and some mainly clear skies setting up for Aberdeen, Annapolis, as well as East and Westminster in the low and mid 70s. You do feel a little touch of mugginess this evening, and that's ahead of our next weather maker. Look at this light show going on from Chicago all the way back down to Nashville, St. Louis, up to Omaha, Minneapolis. Plenty of showers of storms, even tornado watches. And we do stand a chance of some severe weather even tomorrow evening, especially west of Baltimore. There is a marginal 1 of 5 risk of severe weather, but most of the day is going to be just rain-free, very warm, very muggy. Good day for the pool here on Sunday. Temperatures rising into the mid to upper 80s to near 90, but I'll let you know when those showers and storms are going to roll in and how long they're going to stay, and that chance of severe weather on Monday. We're planning it out hour by hour in my Weather Authority forecast.
New questions about information the Department of Education is keeping from the public. The red flags Project Baltimore is raising.
More legal trouble for a state delegate charged with assault. His response as an expert weighs in on the role of ethics in politics.
And Harford County Executive Bob Casserly says he was allowed to spy on a council member. The ongoing battle of if he broke the law.
public records in Maryland are supposed to be just that, records available to the tax-paying public. Federal and many state governments have drafted laws protecting your right to see those records.
But a Project Baltimore investigation is raising questions about information the Maryland Department of Education is not allowing the public to see.
You looked at the documents, you saw the redactions. What are your thoughts?
Chris, this is shocking.
Scott Martyr is a Baltimore-based attorney who's very familiar with Maryland's public records law.
I don't think there should be redactions at all.
Back in 2017, on behalf of FOX45, Martyr sued Baltimore City Schools when the district refused to release documents related to grade-changing investigations. In 2019, a judge ruled in our favor, saying the school system willfully and knowingly violated the law. Now, Martyr says the State Department of Education appears to be doing the same thing.
The public should be able to see what is in these emails.
Yes.
Last week, Project Baltimore received the results of a public records request we filed in April. We asked for emails and text messages sent or received by Maryland State Superintendent Mohammed Chaudhry between January and March of 2023. That time period is important because that was when FOX45 exposed 23 schools in Baltimore City where 0 students who took the state test in 2022 scored proficient in math. When we began reporting on state test scores in late January, the state removed the scores from its website and later reposted them with heavy redactions, making less information available to the public about how public schools are performing. That is why we filed this public records request, to see what your government officials were saying to each other about redacting the test results.
From that request, we received about 500 pages of documents with very few redactions. But take a look at this email thread. This was sent on March 3rd with the subject line, Project Baltimore Request. This first email was sent by me at 1:32 in the afternoon to Superintendent Chaudhry and others at MSDE. In this email, we specifically asked about the 23 city schools that had 0 students proficient in math. 20 minutes after I sent that first email, Chaudhry sent it to some more of his co-workers. This is at 1:52. We can see everything. It's right here. But then 15 minutes later, at 2:07, Superintendent Chaudhry forwarded the email again, but this time, we can no longer see his email address. We also can't see who he sent the email to, and every word in the body of the email has been redacted. So the public cannot see what the superintendent said. We can't see who he sent it to. We also can't see from what email he sent it.
MSDE said the reason for its redactions were to protect executive privilege, the deliberative process, and to maintain the privacy of the state employee. But Martyr says, as far as he can tell, those exemptions do not apply here.
In the interest of transparency, they should give you more information about why they redacted those items. That may help you determine whether you think that they were right or not. But by restricting the amount of information you have, it doesn't paint a good picture for them.
And remember, emails were only part of our request. We also asked for text messages during that time frame. This is what we received, a log of 98 texts sent or received by Superintendent Chaudhry, with the phone numbers redacted. But this is not what we asked for. We did not request a call log. We asked for the actual text messages. But we don't have them, so you can't see them.
Under the state's public records law, is a text any different than an email?
No.
So we should get both?
You should get both, yes. Typically, the next step would be to send an email back to the agency and say, we think you're wrong for the following reasons.
So we did. On Tuesday, Project Baltimore replied to MSDE asking why we received the emails but not the text messages. We also asked for a more detailed explanation about why this email is redacted. If the state cannot point to a specific state law to justify these redactions, we ask that the email addresses and the body of the email be unredacted so the public can see what its government is doing. Project Baltimore will keep you updated on how the state responds.
It is always important that the public know what government is doing. When government hides information, then it makes it a lot harder for the voters to make intelligent decisions.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
The Harford County executive is in a battle over wiretapping allegations, why he's standing by his claims that he had the right to monitor a council member's emails.
And paying to get guns off the streets, how local community groups are trying to make Baltimore a safer city.
Baltimore community groups are trying to buy guns in hopes of getting them off the streets. More than a dozen religious groups, community organizations, behavioral health programs, and others gathered at the Edmondson Village Shopping Center for a gun buyback and resource fair today. The site of the buyback, the same place a deadly mass shooting took the life of a 16-year-old earlier this year. At the buyback, community members could sell handguns, rifles, shotguns, and automatic weapons for hundreds of dollars apiece.
Trying to get guns out of people's homes, where they can be used for domestic violence or suicide or stolen and used for crime, and encouraging people, especially the young people in the streets who have weapons, to plead with them to turn in their weapons and to, save their own life and the lives of others by turning in their weapon with no questions asked.
Guns were purchased with more than $50,000 in donations from local parishes and individual donors.
Delegate Kalen Young is addressing the latest assault charges against him. He decided against an on-camera or phone interview, instead referring FOX45 to his attorney. University of Baltimore Dean of Public Affairs Roger Hartley says Young's private legal troubles also affect the public.
When an elected official is accused of a crime, again, innocent till proven guilty, but it is important for the public to know because public officials are held to a high standard of public trust.
This is Young's second legal battle within the past year. Back in November, he faced assault charges related to an incident during an LGBTQ civil rights town hall. Those charges were eventually dropped.
And Anne Arundel County Department of Health announcing 6 mosquito pools have tested positive for the West Nile virus. The pools were detected near Little Patuxent Watershed, Dorsey Run, and Harold Harbor. On July 27th, at this time, no human cases of the virus have been reported. The Maryland Department of Agriculture will be spraying a solution this weekend in the areas where those pools were found. County health officials have shared some tips to reduce the risk of being bitten by mosquitoes. They include minimizing the time you spend outside between dusk and dawn, wearing long sleeves and pants, removing water that collects outside in buckets or trash cans, and keeping your pool chlorinated and filtered.
A man goes into cardiac arrest while being rescued from a burning home this morning, the latest on his condition.
Donald Trump could be in even more legal trouble over social media posts, the restrictions the special counsel is asking for over what he calls public threats.
And he admits to monitoring council members' emails, but he says he had every right to do so. The Harford County Executive's response to wiretapping allegations.
And a round of strong to severe thunderstorms could be approaching from the Ohio Valley, maybe some tomorrow, but especially on Monday. I'm breaking down the chances. We've got a brand new future scan computer model coming in my Weather Authority forecast.
I have every confidence that we followed existing protocols and rules. There's no basis for anything, the complaints, the allegations of impropriety.
So you stand firm that there was nothing illegal done here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing illegal done here. This was totally in compliance with existing county policies.
Harford County Executive Bob Castley is pushing back on allegations of spying and illegal wiretapping.
A member of the council says Castley was monitoring the online activity of other county officials without their knowledge. Castley says that action was legal under Harford County policies.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson spoke one-on-one with the county executive about those allegations.
In Bel Air today.
It was slanderous. There was no wiretap. No wiretap took place. No attempted wiretap took place.
Harford County Executive Bob Castley telling his side of the story.
This was a one-time find out what's in the emails with regard to this alleged theft of $7 million. A one-time snapshot, you look and you're done. One person looked at that and reviewed that. I was not part of that. Didn't have any part of the emails.
This week, Harford County Councilman Aaron Penman
spying on the opposite legislative branch isn't right.
Accusing Castley of spying and committing wiretap violations. Penman said he was tipped off that emails between him, the sheriff, and several others had been monitored after he made allegations the county executive misappropriated $7 million in county funds back in May.
I do not work for the county executive. I work for the constituents of District B. It's a separate branch of government. I am not an employee of the county. Therefore, he is not privy to my emails and correspondence on cell phones.
But the county executive said an internal investigation into those allegations was done by the book.
All email servers are county property, and they're subject to review by county officials. So that's what was done. It was a one-time snapshot looking. They looked one time. It was one person looked. It was not an ongoing, snooping of council members' stuff. But and that's it. And it was totally as allowed under the policies of the county.
Earlier this week, the Harford County Sheriff's Office said it opened an investigation after receiving a criminal complaint over the wiretap allegations. The case then shifted to the Harford County State's Attorney, but ultimately referred to the Office of the Maryland State Prosecutor.
Were you the one who authorized and asked for this internal investigation to happen after that allegation of the misappropriation?
Certainly, as a county executive, the alleged misappropriation of $7 million was immediately brought to my attention, and I certainly immediately said, okay, let's get to the bottom of this, or words to that effect. I did not micromanage that investigation. I was not aware that the emails would be reviewed. I found about that after the fact.
Harford County's council president also wading into the debate this week as the elected legislative branch of county government. My colleagues and I are not classified as employees of the Harford County administration. Council President Patrick Vincenti said, in part, our collective correspondence with constituents and legislative matters should be held in a confidential manner.
To say you're not a county employee, you get a county paycheck, you're on the county payroll, and so that's absolutely the case, that they are county employees, and they do come within the coverage of the policy.
Today, Castley also throwing his own jabs.
I've got some strong enemies out there, and unfortunately, Councilman Penman has emerged as the lead spokesman for that development industry.
Pointing to this feud simmering over other hot-button issues entirely, coining a new phrase for the Harford County infighting.
It's sad for me to see that his chief methodology here has been the politics of personal destruction.
Castley said he hasn't spoken to Councilman Penman this week and has no plans to.
Intense debate doesn't qualify as personal destruction. That qualifies as intense debate, and that's good for us. But when a group of folks are coming out and their intent is to push you out of office, to deprive you of your office, I'm not sure, if sitting down and discussing that with them is going to do a whole lot.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Well, this case has been referred to the state prosecutor, but he tells Fox 45 News his office does not comment on the existence or status of any investigation. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has been following this controversy since it first came to light. You can find all of her previous reporting on our website right now at foxbaltimore.com.
A man is in critical condition after being pulled from a massive fire in southwest Baltimore. Fire officials say they were called to a vacant home on Ramsey around 2 this afternoon. They found the man inside, already in cardiac arrest. He was taken to the hospital, treated for his burns, and his pulse eventually came back. 2 other homes were also damaged. Some wicked weather hitting Utah. A sinkhole opened up after intense monsoons left the area around Salt Lake underwater. The hole is located by a storm drain that ruptured. Police believe the sinkhole is more than 10 feet deep and wide, and 8 feet deep. Right now, the road is closed while a contractor assesses the damage. It's unclear when that road will reopen. Ouch.
Here at home, things are a little hotter today than the past few days. I kind of missed those past few days already. That was nice.
up to 88 degrees today. No more of those 80 to 85 readings like we were enjoying. And now the humidity is beginning to come back. And with that, even a risk of some severe weather. So we are under weather alert for Monday, not tomorrow, but Monday. We'll get a little bit closer into that in a couple of minutes here and break things down for you. But the HD radar does show that next weather maker. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Out to our west, we've got tornado watches already causing all kinds of problems right around Indianapolis all the way up to Chicago. Another tornado watch around Omaha, Nebraska, and some severe thunderstorm watches here as well into the overnight hours. These systems are moving eastbound, and potentially tomorrow afternoon, there is a marginal risk, a level 1 of 5 risk of severe weather in this kind of traffic light green, basically from Westminster all the way down to Gaithersburg, west to Frederick. Shouldn't impact the O's game tomorrow, I don't believe, at 1:35. But late in the day, there could be some showers and thunderstorms moving in. And again, especially western portion of our area could end up with that potential of severe weather. But the worst chance of severe weather actually over the next 7 days, but over the next couple of days, namely going to be here on Monday afternoon, Monday evening, late day Monday. Overall, slight risk, level 2 of 5 risk of severe weather. We've been looking at this over the past few days, and it looks like it's becoming more and more certain that this may happen. There could be some damaging winds, there could be some large hail, and maybe with these atmospheric conditions that are going to be setting up an isolated tornado or two. So we're going to have to get our safe spaces ready, safe places ready, and also you're going to want to keep your eye to the sky as we head into the first of the new week. For now, it's nice, but there are the sets of new weather makers moving in from the west around the big heat that's feeding into them. Dallas, Albuquerque, Phoenix near 100 to 110 degrees. We are on the somewhat, if you wouldn't believe it, cooler side of things. Toyota Cedar Harbor Skycam clouds and 79 right now. Winds out of the east-southeast at 5 miles an hour. But take a look into tomorrow. I think things stay dry overnight into the wee hours of Sunday. By noontime Sunday, we're well into the 80s as we get the O's game underway. Should just have some patchy clouds. It's a warm, humid day, mid-80s to near 90. But look, late day, 5:30, 6 o'clock, there are your showers and thunderstorms out around Westminster. So may have to clear the pools out to Columbia by about 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. There are some of those storms that then diminish overnight. But look at what happens on Monday, beginning noontime and beyond. One round of storms, and then another couple of rounds could come later on in the day into the evening. So the PM commute could be a real mess, and we need the rain. And take a look, we're going to get some 1 to maybe 3 inches on Monday, as well as those Sunday late storms. And then it turns hot and humid once again, middle of next week, all the way through next Saturday.
Well, special counsel Jack Smith wants a federal judge to set limits on what Donald Trump's legal team can do with evidence in the 2020 election case. It comes after the former president took to Truth Social to post a comment some saw as threatening. It reads, quote, "If you go after me, I'm coming for you." The special counsel's office included a screenshot of the post in the filings. Smith's prosecution team argues Trump has a habit of speaking publicly about the details of legal proceedings he's facing, requesting a rule that bans Trump's lawyers from giving him copies of sensitive discovery materials. Trump's team has until Monday to respond. The former president is facing 4 criminal counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., obstructing an official proceeding, and violating voting rights. Trump maintaining he did nothing wrong.
Florida Governor and presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis dismissed Donald Trump's 2020 election fraud claims at an event in Iowa yesterday.
A lot of left-wing
DeSantis
pressure.
said the theories put out by the former president and his associates were, quote, unsubstantiated and did not prove to be true. He did, however, call the latest indictment against Trump politically motivated, saying he would pardon Trump if he ends up being charged.
I've said many times, the election is what it is. All those theories that were put out did not prove to be true. But what I've also said is the way you conduct a good election that people have confidence in, you don't change the rules in the middle of the game. When the election's over at 7 o'clock at night, you know how many votes have been cast. The results are produced.
Previously, DeSantis has avoided answering questions surrounding the 2020 election, saying he is focused on the future, not the past.
Former Vice President Mike Pence also speaking out on the indictment, releasing new shirts and hats that read "Too Honest," which is a quote from the indictment documents referring to when Trump allegedly argued with Pence over his refusal to overturn the election. When the charges were announced on Tuesday, Pence released a statement condemning Trump's actions on January 6th. His former chief of staff and current campaign advisor, Mark Short, reiterated those claims while on CNN yesterday.
I think two things can be true. You can believe there's a bias, but also believe that everything that Donald Trump did around January 6th was absolutely wrong, and that his pressure to ask the vice president to disregard his oath to the Constitution is certainly a dereliction of the president's own duty.
Meanwhile, Pence is still racing to reach the fundraising threshold needed to participate in the first Republican debate, which is scheduled for August 23rd.
I think it's because it's funny.
Who was funny? You?
Yeah.
A moment he'll never forget, going viral for all the right reasons. One young Ravens fan takes us through his high five with star quarterback Lamar Jackson.